Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations looking for the best technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we create new technologies, new ideas, and copyrights and patents, and the trademarks, how are we going to be able to protect that? And what does it actually mean to have intellectual property, which now is becoming as valuable many times as the products themselves? But as we add 2 billion new people to have about 9 billion souls on the planet by 2050, we have to create much more technology, products, and then of course to have the services that will manage and maintain those. We have a gentleman sitting right beside me who is actually working with this on a day-to-day basis. It's Kelly G. Heidemann, who is an attorney. He's also a partner, a patent attorney, and litigator. That's a lot of responsibilities, Kelly, and what you're doing. And Shagru Mayan is the law firm in Washington, D.C. Kelly, welcome back to Emerald Planet.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hancock.
Glad to have you here. Tell us a little bit about your very interesting company, and we want to get in then to what is intellectual property.
Well, Shagru Mayan is a firm that's been involved in protecting people's intellectual property since the early 60s. And I, of course, didn't join it then, but I'm proud to be a member. And what we do is we help Fortune 500 companies, smaller and mid-sized companies, and even some select very small companies to protect their intellectual property through patent, through trademark, through copyright, through litigation if necessary. We also help protect them through avoiding litigation when necessary. But it all revolves around pretty much patents, trademarks, how we get them, and then what we do with them afterwards.
Now, looking at this notion of intellectual property, we know we have the copyrights, the trademarks, and the patents, and also sometimes processes. But what does intellectual property really mean? Okay, I'm a small business owner, or I'm an inventor, and I have, the greatest thing that's going to help purify water or to produce wind energy or something. What in that makes intellectual property?
So the idea of intellectual property is what makes a small company like the one you described a company that can grow in the future. Because if you can imagine, let's say you had real property and you were growing crops and you had a vineyard and things like that, but every time it's harvest, people could come and take what they wanted because it was open to the public. Well, you would soon lose any desire to plant, to sow, to reap. But with the idea of intellectual property, you build a fence around your intellectual capital, your ideas, and those concepts that you mentioned, and those are protectable in a court of law. So somebody may come and take your stuff, but you can go after them later and enforce your rights and maybe obtain a reasonable royalty from what they took, or at least negotiate with them so that they don't take it and they understand the metes and bounds of the protection that is yours under the law.
Now, looking at this, many people are going through, they're very excited, they have this fantastic idea, they want to get it to market as soon as possible, so they're beating all their competition, but they never think about the intellectual property, or they don't copyright their name, they don't set up their own trademarks. What do they need to really think about? And then this really goes, Kelly, to the heart of the problem. How do they need to budget to protect their intellectual property?
Well, Sam, that's a great question. The way that a small company has to beat everybody to market is often at odds with the way that they have to protect their intellectual property. They have to take a step early on to commit to filing their patent applications before they tell the world about it. And I think at least in most of the entrepreneurial circles, people are aware of that basic idea that you should file something before you start blabbing about it everywhere. Now, with trademarks, you can be a little slower with that because you really don't get rights until you use your mark in commerce. You can file an intent to use application and then eventually perfect your rights to to it. But trademarks and copyrights are things you can think about a little bit more down the road. Actually, copyright is very interesting because you obtain a copyright the instant you capture in some tangible form your expressive work of authorship. So you have the copyright, but whether or not you register it with the federal government, that's another question. And it's something you can do later at any time. It's just important, as you say, to start thinking about these things early on in the process. Talk with somebody who can help you budget certain amounts to protect the levels of intellectual property that you're building.
And that really goes, Kelly, to the whole thing of you're starting your own business or you're coming up with some kind of unique property or design. You really need to have an attorney as well as the CPA and a general counsel in all of this to protect whatever it is that you're generating. But looking at the green space, there's this tremendous burst of ideas and energy and technologies coming on to produce energy, to bring about clean water, to reduce the energy used by automobiles and buildings and fleets. So in looking at that, how can intellectual property really fit into this dynamic new green space so that you're allowing people to really move forward with the technologies, but the intellectual property part is moving along with it, maybe at the same speed, maybe even faster?
In universities and other institutions around the country are doing a great job of highlighting the fact that we have to make advances in green energy, and energy is something that affects everybody in the world. Whether or not it's an energy-rich country or an energy-poor country, we're all connected in this way. Now, people who are putting all their creative energies into solving these problems, they deserve to have something back. And the way that they get something back out of donating their ideas is not really donate them, but to secure the intellectual property so that they can license it and bring in enough money so that they can fuel their own companies and get those creative ideas even going faster. So if they have a super idea and they just give it to the world, that may be all they ever do. But if they can build a company around the idea, then they can attract more people, and more people working together can do greater things. And the way they do that is to surround their intellectual property with the legal protection that they
have
can.
That fence, that barrier, so that if people want to get in, then they at least have to go through the door and not just go in and just take whatever it is that they want.
Right.
Yeah. Looking at it as far as your own company, how do you actually interact with the people that have these creative ideas or processes or this intellectual property so that then they feel like, hey, I have somebody that's working with me to help protect what I'm doing, and then to kind of hold their hand as they go through this whole process?
So we work with our clients the way they want. So a large company, they may have in-house counsel that deals with securing their intellectual property, but they can't do all the work themselves. So they'll look for professionals outside that they can bring in on an ad hoc basis, maybe just to handle the drafting of the patent application, the shepherding of it through the patent office until it becomes a patent. Smaller and mid-sized companies, they need more one-on-one attention, and they need more counseling, more advice. They don't necessarily have someone on staff who really knows everything they need to know. And so they'll bring us in as necessary to help educate them, to work with them together in a partnership that lets them move forward to achieve their goals and aspirations in the field of intellectual property. And the very smallest companies that may not have a lawyer on staff at all, they really count on us to put ourselves in the place where their in-house counsel would be in order to help look out for their best interests. And that's what attorneys have to do.
So it's really a collaborative process then, Kelly. What you're doing is you're working together through this whole process, giving them whatever mix of services or ideas that they need, but again, to collaborate so they feel like somebody is really helping them, but at the same time, it doesn't distract them from what they're doing as far as creating this new idea, new technology, or new product.
Hopefully doesn't distract. I mean, whenever you have someone who's creative, they're developing something, it's their passion, they're excited about it, and that's all they want to do. They don't necessarily want to stop, document things, start obtaining patents, and spend and invest the time necessary now to protect what they need to. But so we respect the natural tendencies of innovative people who want to innovate, but we also help balance that out with saying, whoa, time out, let's collect this, get it on file, and then move forward with V2.
Well, looking at that, is there some way to make it easy for them to be able to codify everything that is they're doing? They're providing the proper audit trail to show that it really is original art, original idea, and then to do the proper filings. How do they do that so it's easily done? Again, it's not this distraction, or they stop from what they're doing. They take, it's like start and stop.
Well, a disciplined R&D operation will have lab notebooks, they'll take records, and they'll record things as they go for their own good, because they don't want to repeat experiments and they don't want to revisit things that they've already done before. So they'll be doing that already. It's a matter of taking what they've done and oftentimes taking that and reformatting it into the style it needs to be to satisfy the needs of the Patent Office.
I see. Okay. Looking at your work, I know that you're not just working domestically within the United States or NAFTA, but you're looking all over the globe as far as working with your partners. How do you take this, what you're doing here in Washington, D.C., and translate that into people that are working in China, India, South Africa, Brazil, other countries where I know you're operating?
Well, we're involved with it in two directions. For our domestic clients, we help them get their we help them get their patent-related technology or trademarks protected outside the U.S. And we work with partner firms abroad to help do that, since we're only allowed to practice in the U.S. And vice versa. Potential clients, existing clients who are abroad but want to get protection inside the U.S., we work together with them to make that a reality.
Well, looking at your firm, we're almost out of time, Kelly, and thank you for being here, but what do you see for the next 5, 10, 15 years as we move towards 2050 in this whole area of intellectual property? We have about 30 seconds to do all that.
Well, we see a continuing growth in the harmonization of patent laws, so that what's true in one country is reasonably similar in another country. The U.S. has already harmonized a lot of its laws, and we see that tendency and that trend continuing, and Chagru being a big part of that.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. And this whole topic as far as intellectual property is something that has puzzled and challenged people for a long time. So it's really great that Chagru Umayyan is taking care of that. Kelly G. Heidemann, who is the attorney and working with the firm, and he's helping us as far as learning how to create the Emerald Planet. Nice job.
Thank you, Sam.
Very nice job.
Art, a universal
You're a
language,
natural at this.
an expression of culture, of self. And now, thanks to Empowered Women International, a way for emerging and established immigrant and refugee artists and artisans to find hope to earn a living while enriching the lives of all of us. Empowered Women International, making a better America every day. For more information on Empowered Women International's educational programs, or to make a tax-free donation, contact C. Fripp at AOL.com.
Here, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty.
You'd think it would be easy to tell which kids have trouble with their eyesight. But that's not always the case. Even though 1 in 4 children may have a vision problem, eye doctors tell us the symptoms aren't always so obvious. We do know that 80% of all childhood learning is visual. And without good vision, kids can have trouble learning to read and may fall behind in school. For clues on how to spot the real-life signs of childhood vision problems, and what parents can do, visit checkyearly.com. A public service message from the Vision Council of America and Reading is Fundamental.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock of Emerald Planet. We're coming to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations looking for the technologies, the services, the products, and of course the people are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And one of the issues, of course, is providing the proper amount of power as we go from 7 to 9 billion people on the planet by 2050. And so how can we increase energy efficiency, reduce the amount of actual natural resources that needs to be used to produce that energy, whether it's electricity, gasoline, diesel, whatever it may be, and at the same time to provide a higher quality of living for all citizens on the planet. We actually have a general counsel who is with a company called O-Power. His name is Christopher Angel, and he's going to talk a little bit about how we actually increase the energy efficiency and move towards, I guess, a smart grid. Could we say that?
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. Okay, Chris. Well, welcome, and tell us about O-Power.
Thank you very much for having me on. So O-Power is the leading provider of customer engagement solutions for the utility industry. We partner with 90 utilities in 7 different countries, and we reach 22 million of their customers.
I tell you, that's just an incredible. And looking at O-Power, this is really a very interesting logo that you have here with the little electrical plug right in the middle of it. So tell us about this, and actually how does that translate? Because I know that you're working with these 90 plus utilities, you're in 7 different countries. How do you cross boundaries like that in the whole thing as energy? Because, you know, there's different megahertz, there's different voltages, there's a very different system.
So what we do is we collect data from our utility customers, and we use big data analytics on a hosted software platform, and using that platform we provide insights that we give to the utilities customers. So it doesn't matter what system they're on or where in the world they are, everybody uses energy and everybody has a need to understand how they use their energy better, and so we provide the tools and the platform that allow utilities to deliver that information to their customers.
Yeah, so you're really, I would assume, focused on countries that have a very robust and a very centralized grid system, and we'll talk about developing countries and how this may apply.
Yeah.
But what is this SaaS?
So software as a service is just, what that means is that we host our software platform ourselves in the cloud and provide it to our utility partners on a license basis. And so it means instead of buying a box of software from Microsoft, you subscribe to, or the utility subscribes to us, and we provide solutions based on our hosted platform.
I really like this, SaaS. Looking at that as far as cloud computing, what is cloud computing? This is something it's all around us. You hear it every day. It's in all the media. But quite honestly, I'm not sure people really know what that means, this cloud computing.
Sure. So the cloud, it just means that it's centrally hosted. So we have data centers in a couple of different places around the country and international data centers as well. And that means that our software and our platform is hosted on a single data center and you access it through the internet. So if you are the customer of a utility that works with us, when you log into your utility's website to access your account, you'll often see a tab on your page that shows you interesting information about your energy. What that is that tab is actually hosted on our servers, and we provide access to it to the utility and through the utility to you.
You hear about all the hackers in the world, and various countries are always trying to look and steal data from people, and not only just about their energy usage, but where it's going, and also the people are on the other end of that. So how do you actually protect all of the intellectual property that you have, and at the same time time protect all the data of these different clients that you're serving in these 7 different countries?
Sure. So, I mean, it's a interesting topic of conversation right now, and it's getting a lot of attention. We take basically every industry standard and beyond that measure to secure our servers, to secure the data that we hold. We're very careful about segregating data so that personally identifiable information is very carefully guarded. And the answer is you try and stay one step ahead. You hire smart people who know what they're doing. You put in place lots of redundant safeguards, and you work with partners who understand the importance of data security.
Looking at disaster recovery, this is not something that you and I actually have chatted about before this interview, but the whole thing of disaster recovery, and this goes back to this notion of redundancy that you're talking about. How do you build that into the system so no matter what happens, you have a hurricane, you have flooding, you have an earthquake, some type of other natural disaster. How do you be sure that you have the redundancy that you need to make sure that this is really 24/7, it's on every second that it's needed?
Yeah, so I mean that's the advantage of a cloud-based system, is that if it goes down in one place, you can move it virtually to some place that hasn't been affected by that. So if our infrastructure goes down somewhere, we have redundant infrastructure that's geographically scattered. We work with our partners who help provide that redundancy, and it creates systems so that if you're a utility that works with us, our system is accessible regardless of one hiccup or one glitch in one spot.
Well, looking at the whole notion of what we pay for energy and the availability of energy, they say the cheapest kilowatt is the one you're not using. So looking at what you're doing, how do you help people? Because I think this is part of your service as well. How do you rationalize how you go in and look at what they're doing so that they're actually only producing or actually selling what exactly is needed, and at the same time make sure that it's absolutely efficient and even the client's use is efficient as possible?
Yep. So we've started on the principle that people have the right to information about their energy usage, and it turns out that if you just empower people with information and do it in a smart and interesting way, you can create, on the micro level, small changes, but on the macro level, really impressive changes. And all this comes down to behavioral science. So we have the world's leading behavioral scientists working with us, and our company really started from an insight that was developed in a behavioral science experiment in California about 10 years ago, where Robert Cialdini, who's a well-known behavioral scientist, went around and in a city in California and had graduate students put 4 different door hangers on people's doors over the course of a month. One said, if you turn up your air conditioner, you'll save $50 a month. One said, if you turn up your air conditioner, you'll save, trees and the environment. One said, if you turn up your air conditioner, you'll be a good citizen, you'll have fewer brownouts, the world will be a better place. Those 3 had no effect on people's energy usage whatsoever. The last tag said, if you turn up your air conditioner, 75% of your neighbors use less energy by turning up their air conditioner. The group who received those messages are the only group that showed any change in energy usage whatsoever. So it turns out if you just provide people with information and provide it in a way that makes them understand it, they will take steps. And in terms of our impact, over 7 years we've saved 3 terawatt hours of energy, which terawatt hour is not an easy to understand number, but it's enough energy to power the city of Las Vegas for a year.
That's absolutely incredible. Looking at big data, this is something that you brought up, and I know that you're talking about cloud computing and SaaS, software as a service. Big data, what is big data, and how does that figure into everything that you're doing, probably almost on a moment-by-moment basis?
Yeah, so, and this gets to, where the smart grid is going. Big data just means that we collect data from our utility clients and have advanced software that can process that data. And if you think about it, utilities produce an incredible amount of information. Every time you read your meter, it creates a data point. That data point can be analyzed and assessed and understood in a way to help people make better decisions about their energy usage. And as we move to the smart grid and move to smart meters, where you're getting not just monthly meter reads but continuous meter information.
So almost like in real time.
Yeah. So smart meters are just that. They just mean that they're providing information over a live feed to the utility on a hourly, daily. It's a much smaller increment than the traditional monthly or even biannual meter read, and it creates an incredible number of data points. And what we do is we take that data in, and we have a proprietary system that overlays that data and allows us to call on that data, understand that data, and then draw on it to produce specific insights to you as a customer of the utility.
Yeah, looking at that, how does intellectual property play into everything that you're doing? I know that the software and the services you're providing, most of that is proprietary, and that's what all that means. It belongs to you. So how do you go through the intellectual property filings, and how do you actually protect yourself so that you're actually adding value to O-Power?
Yep. So, there's a couple of different ways, and one of the most important is building a robust patent portfolio. So we can, we look at the analytics that we use to develop and deliver insights, and how we deliver those analytics, and those are often patentable ideas. So we've developed a pipeline of patent applications and soon-to-be patents that are based on those analytics. And then, beyond that, we rely heavily on copyright, which most software companies do to protect our code, and then past that, it's really just trade secrets and being careful about the information we produce and how we produce it.
What do you see? It's quick. We got about 40 seconds to answer this. What do you see for the future of O-Power over the next 5, 10, 15 years?
Yeah, so I think the direction we're going in, it's a lot of people don't have access to information about their energy, and so where we're going is, as more information comes in and as more people need access to it, we provide a way for them to make good decisions.
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic what you're doing, and it's really interesting. And like I said, I really love this logo that you have. That says a whole lot about what it is that you're doing. But I think, Chris, one of the things you brought out is that we need to be much more clever in a way that we can actually understand the energy that we're using and how we're applying that within our businesses, within our communities, and at the same time how we can make much higher uses through conservation of that whole thing. And I think that's what you're all about. Thank you for being with us on the Emerald Planet as we look around the globe to create the Emerald Planet.
Listen to smoke before you give it a try. Only you. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire.
And you're going to be back with us.
There's nothing very funny about nothing very nice on a homeless mind. So if a gorgeous force is what you desire, don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Yeah.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire.
Why don't you just wash your car at home?
When I wash my car, everything runs down the street and down into the storm drains. With all the chemicals in the soaps and waxes, the last thing I want to do is poison my own drinking water. At least here, it's all contained and recycled on site. That's why I also take my car in for oil changes instead of doing it myself. I might take a chance on spilling stuff. You know what the best part is?
What?
More time to kick back and watch the game.
How far would you go to protect the planet?
I want you to build an ark.
Here we go. Okay, that's good. Oh, okay. Ow!
Maybe there's another way.
People, the flood is imminent!
Is it too much to ask for a little precipitation?
Go to fightglobalwarming.com to find out what you and your community can do to reduce global warming pollution.
Somewhere around the world, there are men and women of the armed forces risking their lives, helping rebuild communities after natural disasters, collecting toys for needy children, tutoring kids in school, These are your sons and daughters who work to keep us safe, secure, and free. Dedicated men and women who put their country first.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you as we look around the globe for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. One of the great challenges of the 21st century is being able to produce enough energy that is affordable but available to all soon to be 9 billion souls on the planet. And so how are we going to be able to provide the security, at the same time the comfort, and really the socialization that centers around energy, around sound, around light, and all the things that we think of as the hallmarks of a modern progressive society. And we have a gentleman actually who is an inventor and has been thinking about and working in this for many years. This is William. He goes by Bill D. Henby, who is an inventor, and also he's operations director for Halloran, and this is both for lighting and security systems. So looking at your company, how are you balancing the lighting and the security? That's a very interesting concept.
Well, we were fortunate that I was able to design a unit, all right, that you will find both a lighting element and also a security platform, which calls for a pan-tilt-zoom surveillance camera that's IP-based, all in the same system. When we sat down and actually came up with the theory, there was a lot of skeptics, but we proved them wrong. The unit that we have demonstrated and that we now have our patents on is a unit that is both an energy efficient system as well as a surveillance system as well. But we can separate the two because the system can be a lighting only unit, and it can also be a lighting plus a surveillance camera.
Well, looking at this particular unit here, we have a couple of photographs that was provided from your office. Tell us exactly what we're looking at here, because there are a number of activities and technologies that are going on within this.
Right. What you see with that particular unit, that is our box lighter unit. That unit was designed to be found in most of your shopping centers, mall complexes. You see those box square brown lighting units already on the premises. But our unit puts out more illumination, all right, and also the brilliance of the lighting, as far as we're concerned, is the best. That particular unit that you're looking at there is a lighting system plus a camera. If you notice that little round dome underneath, that's where the camera is housed. Mm-hmm. The lighting element itself is that plastic lens that you see going around on the sides, and we're able to project the light to cover areas of up to 80 to 100 feet.
I think it's just absolutely incredible. And looking at it, there's a transmitter on the back of this as well. So can we assume this is actually transmitting the images, that it's actually taking it back to some central location, and then also you can communicate actually with the camera and the light itself?
That's correct. That unit, that transmitter, it's a wireless unit right there is a wireless unit. That unit can be hardwired or it can be wired. It's transmitting a signal to another receiver that allows for the information to be viewed by someone who is monitoring exactly what's going on. That person, as long as they have the IP address to that particular unit, can control that camera. That person can be in China, Russia, Japan. As long as they have that IP address, they can definitely control that camera. And also take still pictures as well.
Well, looking at this is all really tying in as far as the wireless nature of the internet these days. And so these images actually could be posted up on the internet. But looking at this, one of the things as far as security is concerned, and of course this is becoming more and more critical as we're adding 2 billion more people to the planet. And we're rapidly urbanizing, so we're going from about half the world's population to almost 80% of the world's population will be in urban areas by 2050. So looking at this as kind of an example of the now and also where we're going in the future, Bill, how do we tie in so that we have the surveillance, but at the same time we have the comfort, the security, and the safety that we want to have, and that all citizens, no matter whether in Kenya or Denmark or the United States, they really have these same social needs?
Well, the good thing about the HOLORIAN system is that it can be a lighting unit, as I've said, sitting on the same light pole that you find in every community throughout the world, all right? And the fact that we have a pan, tilt, zoom camera in the unit makes it less noticeable, okay? It sort of blends in with the architecture of the surrounding environment.
But it's still doing the same, actually it's expanding the functions of the particular facility.
It expands the function to the point that if an individual is a person of interest and the officers or police want to make sure they are able to follow that particular person, they can do it with those systems. That system, that camera system comes with a tracking device, okay, that allows it to track an individual as long as they are in a specific zone. All right, and when they transfer out to another zone, we're also able to pick them up and continue the security.
I see. I'm going to go back to that and just leave that up for a little bit. Looking at these various systems here and how that no matter where people are on the planet, they need to feel like that they're safe and secure. At the same time, lighting is something that's a real social function that allows cities, small communities to feel like that they're actually progressing, that they're part of the world community. So looking at the inventions that you've come up with, I know that you're an inventor and there's a great amount of intellectual property that you've actually created over the years. So how does this make people feel like they're really part of a community and they want to protect and at the same time enhance that local community?
Well, the good thing about our lighting element side of this equation is that it's able to cover a large area. All right, when you have adequate lighting in an area, it makes people feel much safer. It allows them to know that we are in an environment which we can walk our kids out at night. We can let them play at night. All right. Whereas you have elements that are out here today, lighting elements that are out here today, which do not provide enough adequate lighting to allow for people to feel safe. Okay. And a perfect example is some of the LED lighting that is now going up in and around a lot of our urban areas. Sure, because our systems are LED-based systems, and LEDs are the lighting elements of the future. And so therefore, some units cannot project enough light to cover an area to make a person feel safe and secure.
Yeah, Bill, looking at these, and I'm just going back between the two of these so that we have an image for our domestic and international viewers, but looking at LED, what is LED lighting and why we're just really moving almost the whole society towards LED and forgetting the incandescent and even fluorescent. So we're moving to LEDs. Why? And what is it?
LED stands for light emitting diodes, and what they are little diodes that allow for a great deal of illumination to come forward. All right, which in the end result causes us to spend less money on the solutions that we are creating. All right, we can operate that particular system right there for under 200 watts of power because it's a low voltage system. And LED allows you to do that. You don't need no high energy lighting elements to really light up an area. So what LEDs, because they can be low energy systems, what they allow us to do is to have more of them in place because right now the cost may be extremely high in some cases depending upon the type of unit. But in other instances, they are relatively competitive with what today's lighting units are. And the other part to that is you don't have all the particulars that you find when you go to get rid of or remove your HID or fluorescent lighting tubes. Okay,
Yeah, looking at this, and also too, Bill, I think this is something you brought up, that because the LEDs are using much less power, you can put more of them, but at the same time, you can run these all off of solar, wind, or other kinds of renewable sources. So how do you do that so you have the renewables as much as possible, and do you need to have wired in to, say, the grid at the same time?
A good part about what we do is that our systems do not require to be tied into a grid at all. Our systems run off solar as well as battery. It's just a matter of how they are connected. And because they are low voltage systems, you can effectively run them off of a solar system. You can effectively run them off a battery powered system as well.
Now, looking at some of the other systems that you have, and this is something we don't have an image of, but what other creative systems do you have that, again, it's going to provide, more service, like more light, more security, at the same time going to lower the cost, but at the same time providing a sense of security for the people that are using your technologies?
Well, what we've done, the good thing about our system is that you utilize 50 to 60% less energy in operating one of our units.
Now say that again. That's very important.
We utilize 50 to 60% less energy in operating our devices.
That's incredible. Okay. That's a real savings.
What we have now created, we started out with the exterior units. Those units that you have just placed on your screen, they're all exterior units designed for streets, boulevards, wide open spaces like on military bases and things like that. We now have created an interior design system that also, not only does it come with just light only, but it also comes with camera just like its older brother. And it throws off more light. It lights up an area you wouldn't believe. Our smallest system, which uses 106 watts of power, actually can light up a room that's 30 by 30. All right. Well, our larger unit, and that smaller unit is called the Halo series unit.
Right.
Our larger unit is called the Orion series unit. The Orion series unit can light up an area that's 60 by 60.
That's
in terms of lighting in our area.
That's incredible.
And it only uses 189 watts of power.
That's absolutely incredible.
When you walk into a room of that size, that's a 60 by 60, you're looking at, they normally are using approximately over 2,000 watts of power to light up that area. For a smaller room such as the 30 by 30 that the Halo series is lighting up, they normally use anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 watts of power.
Yeah, that's incredible savings and makes it very efficient. We got two last questions, and we got to be very quick.
Okay.
Manufacturing in the U.S., yes or no? And if you are, why are you doing it?
Yes, we're manufacturing right here in this area, as a matter of fact, in Baltimore, Maryland. We're doing that because we have a very simple philosophy. And our philosophy is, let's play in our own backyard first. All right. By doing so, we're able to stabilize what we have here, build upon it, and then be able to reach out into the international community. We certainly would have no problem in entertaining people that may want to come in and certainly sell our units out there. But for right now, we like playing in our own backyard.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. And talking with me by Halloran, which is William D. Henby, who is the inventor. And that's a nice title to have, inventor. And also he's operations director as far as Halloran Lighting and Security Systems. And Bill, thank you for sharing with our audiences that we have. And it's really interesting to see the changes going on with lighting because we're bringing more services, better products at a cheaper price as we look around the globe to create the Emerald Planet.
A job.
Necesito trabajo.
I would like to speak English better.
Me gustaría hablar inglés mejor.
I want to be a U.S. citizen.
Quisiera ser ciudadano de los Estados Unidos.
For over 35 years,
por más de 35 años,
the Hispanic Committee of Virginia has been serving our community.
El Comité Hispano de Virginia ha estado sirviendo a nuestra comunidad.
Job training and placement,
capacitación, ayuda para conseguir trabajo,
education for children and adults,
educación para niños y adultos,
immigration, naturalization, and medical referrals,
ayuda para los procesos de inmigración y naturalización y orientación sobre médicos
are a small part of what we do.
Son solo una pequeña parte de lo que hacemos.
For help, information, or to volunteer,
para ayuda, información o para ofrecerse como voluntario,
contact the Hispanic Committee of Virginia.
Comuníquese con el Comité Hispano de Virginia,
helping everyone participate more fully in American society.
Ayudando a todos a participar plenamente en la sociedad norteamericana.
yours.
Would you notice if you were missing half your kidney function? According to the National Kidney Foundation, 20 million people have chronic kidney disease, and 20 million more may be at risk and not even know it. Anyone with high blood pressure, diabetes, or a family history of chronic kidney disease is at risk. Early diagnosis is vitally important. To get the whole story, talk to your doctor and visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org or call for a free brochure. Because when it comes to chronic kidney disease, you might not know the half.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet. I'm Dr. Sam Hancock, the President and Executive Director of Emerald Planet and also Emerald Planet TV. We come to you on a weekly basis, all stations across the United States and around the globe, as we're looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And at the same time, even though that we're looking specifically in 144 different nations, we actually are broadcasting to all 214 nations and territories around the globe to bring what we call is the good news team, and talking about the solutions, not just the problems. And we have three gentlemen that are sitting right beside me that are chief solutions developers and also protecting intellectual property, which is very, very important. Sitting right beside me is Kelly G. Heidemann, who is an attorney and partner at Shagru Manyan. And then we have Christopher Angel, who is also an attorney. He is corporate counsel with what's called O-Power. And then we have William D. Hinby, who is inventor and also operations director for Halloran Lighting and Security Systems. So let's move right in. We've talked about intellectual property, Kelly, in the past and the importance of it. But you have somebody right here like Bill, who is really in the middle of all this creativity, and he wants to get his products out, doing great work, great products. And other people out here that are watching this, what do they really need to consider before they even start trying to, not just to produce it or create it, but to actually take it to market?
Well, Sam, before taking it to market, I think the one piece of advice that I would give to a small or mid-sized company is to start budgeting and considering your intellectual property early on in the process. And that's because there's been a recent change to the American patent laws that make it very, very important that inventors file their patent applications before they start discussing it with investors, before they start discussing it with potential customers, and certainly before they try and sell it on the market.
Yeah, I think that's very important, and particularly if you're going overseas in many countries. And I know that your company, Shagru Manyan, is actually operating around the globe. So just one quick question on that. What do you need to think about when you're actually moving overseas now and you want to protect, and it may be the fact you want to try to manufacture and sell there, or you just want to export your product?
So you want to think about early on, how many countries are you interested in filing for patent or trademark protection in? And you want to look at where you're likely to operate, and you also want to look at countries that are likely to copy your products. And you may want to actually go into that country and file a legal action to try and stop them there. So you want to consider both those countries, both those types of countries.
I'm going to, Chris, if you don't mind, I'm going to pop over to Bill for just a minute, because I want to trigger off of what Kelly just said about being sure to protect your intellectual property. I know that you're actually designing and you're producing in the United States, but being the very proactive gentleman that you are, I know you're looking at international markets. So how do you think you need to balance that as far as what your company is doing with your special lighting and security systems, which really are needed all over the globe?
Called on Shagru Manyan. I seek their counsel. They've been very effective at leading me down that path throughout this whole process, and it's because of that that I am where I'm at today. One thing that I have to stress is exactly what Kelly has said. Okay, you must seek out competent legal advice when you're in this particular venue, because if you don't, you could lose everything you've worked for. All your hard work is gone. It can be gone in an instant, because you do have those people in other countries and people as well as here that will take advantage of you. And that's why it's important that, and I'm so glad that I have Shagrup Mayan on my side.
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic. And Chris, looking at OPower, you are an attorney, you're corporate counsel there, but you're really on, in a sense, a different side, because you're really developing software solutions for people. You're actually retaining that, you're doing the hosting. So how is that different from somebody that has a physical product that they're going to actually manufacture and sell to others versus you're creating a software where you actually, in a sense, control the whole environment of that software and its use?
That's true. So we do control, in our hosted solution, we do have control over, who has access to our code and who understands our products. But, at the same time, people still understand what we're delivering and how we're delivering it. And so there's still a lot of threat to the ways we produce our insights, the ideas that we have, and the analytics behind them. So we take a similar approach of thinking proactively about sort of who our competitors are, whether they're going to be interested in our intellectual property, and what the best approaches are to protecting that intellectual property.
Well, looking at that, you're actually creating a huge amount of data for your clients, and again, you have this hosted service that you're providing. So what are you doing to actually protect your own facilities, and then also that information that's really proprietary to others that are being able to be served by what OPower is doing?
Yeah, certainly. So, for our own protection, we pursue the traditional intellectual property route. So we have a patent pipeline. We have copyright on our software. We use, protect our trade secrets through traditional methods. And so, that really protects our ideas. We do hold a lot of data from our clients, and we use much more sort of, in the world of data security, we use cutting edge technology and leading security practices to make sure that people don't have access to that data.
Well, Kelly, I'm not sure you get a much better endorsement than what Bill's given to you from his firm, so you definitely have to take him for dinner or do something special for him.
In the works.
But looking at what you're doing, I know this is something you and I have actually talked about before, as far as looking at the big data. And when you're looking at, say, you're helping your client as software, you have another client that has physical products. I know you're out there constantly trying to find what is the best art, what is the best design that's out there, so we can do the best to protect the intellectual property of our clients. How do you use this concept, big data, in order to make sure that your client's getting the very best information possible?
Well, that's an important point and a good question. The job really, though, is the clients to come up with the inventions once they have those. So once they've called upon big data to find new trends, or once they've culled through big data to see where's the market going or where's demand going, what's the biggest new field, they will do that. We'll help them get their ideas protected on file with the patent office. We'll help them prosecute the case so that they can actually receive a patent, and then we'll help protect them. So we'll call upon big data once they have the patent to help them look for threats, potential threats to their business, and we'll also use big data in a way to help invalidate other people's patents if they come assert them against our clients. And that big data is the collection of patents and technical knowledge from all over the world that we can call upon to help protect our clients and help them avoid litigation.
Bill and Halloran, I know that many people look at, doing all the intellectual property, this is a cost, and so we have to build this in. But yet I think you have the philosophy it's an actual investment that you're making in your products and the future of your company, and and as you move forward into the future. How do you balance this cost investment concept and make sure that you're putting up the needed resources, and at the same time it's really going to return benefit to your own company?
Very tightly. We have to be careful because as a minority firm and as a small business, you don't have access to the financial means to really jump out there big time and make things happen. So what you have to do is you have to make sure that the people that you deal with are decision makers when it comes to actually trying to sell your product to them, and that you're not spinning your wheels unnecessarily and ending up nowhere. So we walk a very tight line for now. But there's always the dream that we're going to succeed no matter what. And at the end of the day, where will we be 5, 10, 15 years down the road? 5, 10, 15 years down the road, where I see us going, because of the type of solutions that we have, is space, the final frontier. Be it on the International Space Station, be it on a colony that's colonized on the planet Mars, or wherever it may be. We want to be there. Halorion wants to be there.
Well, looking at it also too, as far as the seas, this is really one of the great unexplored spaces as well. And I think, Bill, you'll be right on your way. Chris, looking at the software development, what are some of the things that you really have to think about as you're bringing all this to market, so that you're sharing, so people say, hey, this really is a solution that we can use, but at the same time, you're not just giving it away or allowing somebody else to just, in a sense, just copy it and try to back engineer, if you will, and do it on their own.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is one of the great advantages of having a software as a service product and company, is that we don't actually give anybody our code. So we have control over who sees it. We host it ourselves, and and our clients get the benefit of that code and of the work our engineers put into it, but we have some control over who has access to it. At the same time, we provide them a great value proposition, and they don't have to go through that development work themselves. They don't have to go through the process of coming up with the ability to use their data the way that we do. And we can provide them with a subscription access to it. It makes it simple for them, and it gives us a great deal of protection.
Kelly, I'm going to have the last question you, and we have to be quick. We have maybe about 45 seconds. Looking at the competition from overseas, there are many countries, middle-income countries like a Mexico, like a Brazil, of course China, India, South Africa are creating software, they're creating intellectual property. How do you help your clients, but also to protect everything that's going out from the U.S. and coming into the U.S.?
Well, we work together with them to do what they need based on their custom business situation. So we see ourselves really as not necessarily outside counsel, but a partner that's going to work with them against all threats, foreign and domestic.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a really great answer. And actually, we're just absolutely out of time, gentlemen. It's really great to have you here. And Kelly, thank you for introducing both Chris and Bill. It sounds like they're doing really exciting things and very important work you're doing. Chris, congratulations, and thank you for explaining what SaaS is all about, and Bill sharing about it. And I didn't realize you were a minority-owned company as we create the Emerald Planet.